Welcome to Hope for Your Pelvic Floor, the podcast that transforms how you move, feel, and live. And I'm Claire Sparrow, Pilates teacher, educator, and best-selling author, passionate about helping you reclaim your pelvic health and your power. This is your space for optimism, possibility, and practical steps to move from helpless to hopeful. Join me as we bust the myths, share expert insights, and explore real solutions for a body that supports you for life. You are not meant to settle, you're meant to thrive. So let's get started. Today's episode is called To Wee or Not to Wee. That is the question. So we are covering a topic today that honestly, I cannot tell you, a day doesn't go by where there isn't some kind of conversation about wee. How much wee, when to wee, when we happens and we don't want we to happen. All the things we talk about we. And so today, what I really want to talk about is the just in case we. This we is like the foundation stone, the beginnings of a lot of bigger conditions and concerns that we might have in the future. And it's one that, well, it's one that's actually quite simple to change because it's really a mindset thing rather than a pelvic floor issue. So I'm going to give you today some suggestions of how you can shift away from doing the just in case we, that do before you go out we, the before you go to bed we, the maybe we're going to go for a walk and there might not be a toilet we, all of those kind of wees, the just in case wees. And the other one is the situation where maybe you're gonna control your wee, so you're not going to drink a lot so that you don't have to wee. I mean, there's just so much that we do to kind of try and control our wee situation. So when you think of the just in case we, it's very, very specifically a time or situation where you go to the toilet even when you don't actually think you need, that you think maybe in half an hour I might need, or maybe as soon as I get to the place I might need to go, but you don't feel the urge to go. It's not that absolute obvious bladder is full. And how you know if you go and it's not a real wee, it's a just in case wee, is that it's likely you won't wee for very long. And I know that sounds so obvious. And I do want you to pause and think about this because I know from working for so long with so many women that when they do stop and actually acknowledge the length of their wee, even the wees that they think are real wees are not real wees. Because if you're not weeing in a constant stream for at least 8 seconds, that wasn't a real wee. I mean, it was a wee. You had a wee. But what I mean is that it wasn't a necessary wee. You could have gone longer before having that wee. Because not only do we do the just in case wees, we do the habitual wees. It's my tea break, I'll go for a wee. It's between, like at the studio, I remember that I used to always go between certain clients, like between certain classes, because that was the time that I had. I made a big shift in that because a few years ago, oh gosh, it was 2016, so a good few years ago now, I discovered that I had a large ovarian cyst and it was absolutely fine. It was just there and it needed to be removed. And the reason, well, there's two ways I knew it was there, was one, because I could palpate it, it was very big. And the other was that I literally had to go to the toilet every hour. And so I was going to the toilet every hour and I needed to go, but there wasn't a lot coming out. But this was simply because I had pressure and there was space basically being taken up by this cyst that my bladder couldn't take up when it was full. So then I have the operation. And I had the operation, it's all fine. Unfortunately, it was too big to come out by keyhole. So I did have to have full open up surgery, which wasn't great, but it got the cyst out, and that was what was most important. But unfortunately, there was an issue with the catheter. And I kept saying, because obviously I had a good sensation, I could feel, and I said it's definitely something not right with the catheter. I feel full, but it's not emptying. And they're looking at the bag. No, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's not full. There was a kink in the hose, literally a kink in the tube. So my bladder was distending and distending, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that messed up my brain to bladder communication. Quite some, what, it was not great. And I had to retrain my bladder after that because I didn't have a good sense of full and empty because of this disruption that had happened after I'd had the surgery. I then had to train myself to not go to the toilet just at those convenient break times, not at those obvious spots, but only go when I actually needed to go because it was much healthier and better for my bladder and ultimately my pelvic floor. So instead of always going at a break, I gave myself permission to go when I needed to go, whenever that was, and make no apology for it because I was listening to my body's and still do my body's cues of when it was time to go, when I actually needed to go. And what I found was that I could go much longer. I was having a good lengthy even there was no stop starting, it wasn't just dribbles, it wasn't little, it was a proper steady flow for more than 8 seconds. And it was huge the difference that that made, not just physiologically, but in my mindset. And because I would just say out loud, I'm going to the toilet. But I needed to go, I went, and that was it. It made me feel more confident about talking about going to the toilet and letting others know that they could have permission to go to the toilet when they needed and not waiting. Because it's in the waiting, it's in the going when we don't need to go that we are messing up. We are miscommunicating. We are losing our sense of internal connection because we have this thing called interoception. So interoception is the sense that when you know you're hungry, when you know you feel you're tired, you feel butterflies in your tummy because you're nervous or you're excited. These are interoceptive communications that are happening all the time, but we start to squish, 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 and squash them down when we override them, when we ignore them. So when we override it by going for a wee just in case, we are then less able to feel when we really need to go. Now I feel the penny dropping already because you're getting an insight into why perhaps you have some incontinence issues. Because maybe, like many of us as children, you only went at break time. Adult would say to you, okay, we're going out for the day, or we're going on a car journey. Just go to the loo just before you go. Go for a wee. Just try for a wee. Just go before we go. It's a long way. Come on, just go. All of that over years dampens down, dulls, squashes the all important communication to know genuinely what a full bladder is and when it's not. So the just before you go wee can be one of your causes of incontinence. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples where one is often I've several clients, in fact, particular situation uh, of getting up in the morning, going for a wee, having breakfast, an hour later, time to go on the school run. and going just in case before going to school, because it'll be a rush. There won't be time to go. There's nowhere to go at school. You've got to get the kids in and then get back to get out for work, whatever the scenario is. But what happens so often is that just in case we causes this breakdown in communication, so that when you come back from the school run, you're rummaging around in your handbag looking for the front door key and you have an accident on the doorstep. That latchkey scenario, there's several causes, but one of the things is because you've mismanaged that communication. And with one particular client recently, we said, look, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're weeing on the doorstep anyway, so just don't have the just in case wee. One time. So one try of the not having the just in case wee, and she didn't wee herself on the doorstep again. Don't we all want that? I mean, isn't that epic that we can reprogram that communication so easily? Because what we have to remember is that we programmed it, therefore we can reprogram it like a computer. You can change this. There is so much available and possible for you to do to change this. One of the other scenarios that I'm sure will be familiar to many of you is the just in case wee before bed. You brush your teeth, you go for a wee, you go get your jammies on, you get ready, and then you're like, oh, I'll go again, just in case. The reality is, though, you go through all the night without weeing. Most of you, I know some of you going, oh, not me, but that's another thing, and we'll work on that. But if you think about it, you are going for a lengthy period of time. So one of the tips, I'm just going to share this with you now. One of the tips that I give regularly is before you do the first before bed wee, so before you do that wee, is actually just lie on your tummy for a moment. Okay, I know it sounds totally ridiculous, but let's think about this. When you go, I'm sure lots of you go to Pilates classes or other things, and you lie on your tummy and you go, oh yes, full bladder, I feel it. You immediately know this is the same scenario. So all I'm sort of suggesting is forcing that awakening of your bladder. It's called biofeedback. You're just getting an external force, the floor, to feed back to your bladder because you're lying on it. And Bob's your uncle, brain body go, oh, hello, I'm here. Oh, hello, I'm here. All right, we need to do something. And you'll have a much, much more fulfilling wee after lying on your tummy. You can even go so far as put a pillow on the floor and lie over the pillow, so it's creating a little bit more pressure on your abdomen and giving your bladder that feedback that it needs. And I raise these things because that poor pelvic floor, it gets a lot of bad rap, it's the blame for everything, it's the villain, and it really isn't. It's part of a body-wide system. It's not doing everything on its own, and your bladder needs you to listen to it, and it will listen to you so that it can take some pressure off your pelvic floor mentally and physically. It's not, sometimes we think we've got, we're incontinent because of the pelvic floor being weak, which is not the truth. It's rarely the truth. We feel like it's a weakness, but it's a brain to body breakdown. It could be nothing to do with the pelvic floor, it could be the bladder. So let's make sure 100% that when you are going for a wee, that it's a real fulfilling full flow minimum of 8-second wee, and it's not a just in case wee. So important. It really, really is so, so, so important. I do want to finish with one other scenario, because many of us, you'll be like me, I love to go on big long walks. And there's always that fear that issue of what if I actually need a wee when I'm out? And we call it the wild wee. And maybe I should do an episode on training for the wild wee, because I've done this before with people where we've done exercises specifically to be able to do a wild wee. But anyway, I digress. The point is, give yourself permission to take a wild wee. Like I gave myself permission to go for a wee. Maybe I'm in the middle of teaching a class. Okay, I'm not going to leave while they're doing the 100, but I'm going to make sure that they're safely doing something that's easy, gentle, and I can knit for a quick wee and get back to them. Can you give yourself permission to do a wild wee? Or maybe it's like me giving yourself permission at work. And maybe it's about being prepared for that wild wee. Maybe it's being prepared by getting a she wee. So you have a little device that you can use while you're out. Maybe it's doing some more squats and exercises that are going to help you to get down to do a wild wee. Maybe it's just packing a little Ziploc bag with, this is what I do, and I am not ashamed to say it, because we will go walking for hours, and I take a Ziploc bag with some wipes, some hand sanitizer, and a little packet of tissues, and a doggy bag, a little poo bag, so that I'm not leaving anything behind. I can take the tissue away, I can feel comfortable after having a wild wee, and I've done it. And it's just putting the things in place to make it easy and less of a big hoo-ha to do the thing. Because I am sure I am not giving up my long walks just because I might need a wee. So, so, so important to take the steps you need to take to continue to live your life and do the things that you really, really want to do. Oh, my goodness. Imagine talking for 20 minutes about weeing. I could talk even more, and I will talk more in further episodes of the podcast. But to make sure we wrap this up really neatly in a bow, we only wee when we need to wee. No just in case wees. And also, I would like to just add, also, we don't need to feel guilty for any just in case wees we've done in the past or encouraged others to do, because all of us, me included, are doing the best we can with the information that we have. And we know that we can reprogram and make change because we are designed so beautifully. Our bodies are awesome. Once you shift your mindset, you start reprogramming, and the magic will happen because your body is designed to change. It's designed to heal, and you can make that happen by weeing when you need to wee and weeing for at least 8 seconds, strong solid flow. That's where the magic happens. And celebrate it. We joke all the time. I have clients in the studio that know this, so we can, if somebody goes for a wee, they'll come out and they'll be like 21 seconds, and we'll high five because we're celebrating, we're normalizing listening to our body, doing what our body needs, and doing the right thing. It's not about the past, it's about here and now and what you can do. And I want you to wee when you need to wee, cut the just in case wees, and feel the difference. And I can't wait to hear all about your wees and the positive interaction between your brain and your bladder and your pelvic floor, and the difference that you are going to be making. Oh my goodness. I love speaking to you every week. It is a joy and a pleasure to be here and sharing. And I am really grateful for all of your feedback, the reviews. I know lots of you are sharing the podcast. It means the world to me that you're doing that and you're supporting other women with this information. So please keep that up. And if you've got any topics that you would like me to cover, you can drop me a DM over at easy for me to say, Hope for Your Pelvic Floor on Instagram. and I will work on those topics for you. We've got loads of exciting things coming up, lots about incontinence. Then we're going to be working towards Prolapse Awareness Month in June. So we will be talking a lot about pelvic organ prolapse, which, yes, expect some, yes, passion around that topic because it's really near and dear to my heart. Anyway, that is the end of Hope for Your Pelvic Floor today. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you all again next week. Bye, everyone.